help but wonder where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Can't help but wonder where I'm bound.
Welcome everyone to What's the Rush with me. I'm Rebecca Rusch, your teammate on this adventure where we peel back a few layers of performance and look at the moments that really shape us. We're going to pause and explore the insights that maybe don't always show up on the results sheet, the wisdom that comes from reflection, transition, and what you do when nobody's looking. So today's guest, Cameron Wurf, he really embodies the spirit of evolution more than anyone I know, except for maybe me. We both share similar multifaceted athletic careers that just kind of keep going and going, and both been competing and excelling on multiple stages for decades. So I really resonate with his story in that way. He's lived quite a few athletic lives, often at the same time. And simply put, he's one of the best endurance athletes in the world. He's pushed endurance sports performance into the future with the way that he approaches training and racing. He's a world champion Olympic rower, pro road cyclist for over 13 seasons and counting, I believe, pro Ironman triathlete. And somehow he's managed not only to move in these worlds, but really excel at the top level in the world in all of them. So he's got a ton of accolades. We'll get into some of them. He's literally done things that nobody's ever done. And I'm excited to talk to him, mostly because of his curiosity and his adaptability. And, he doesn't really stay in the lane that people might expect him to stay in. And on top of all that, he's grounded and friendly despite living a life built on suffering and doing hard things. Cameron Wurf, I barely got you to slow down for a second, but I can't believe I did. So welcome to What's the Rush? It's kind of an appropriately named podcast for you, a guy like you.
It's interesting. I actually wanted to do a podcast this morning, which was around feeling like you never have enough time.
Yeah.
and sort of embracing that and accepting that and learning that no matter how productive you ever get, you're probably always going to want to do more. So you need to figure out how to manage that with yourself and just get the most out of your time. So,
yeah.
it's a very good time to speak to you today.
It's time is our most precious commodity, really. It's the thing we can't ever make more of or find more of. So, I really appreciate you taking time with me today. From what I know about you, well, I do want to share a little bit of background and just tell you that I love Aussies. I have a long history of racing, adventure racing, multi-sport racing with Aussies for a decade. A couple guys on my team that we raced together a lot. I went to a university at Curtin University over in Perth. And
WA?
Yeah, and I tried to stay, but they kicked me out. I was on a student visa and they wouldn't let me stay. But and then also raced in Tasmania.
Well, that's pretty bad because our immigration laws, that's pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
Normally, if you make it to Australia, we'll keep you.
I tried. I still.
To actually get kicked out.
Yeah, Tassie and Australia are just beautiful places, beautiful people. I love how, how everyone embraces like super purposeful play in Australia. They just like really like go after their sports and their playtime, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as a kid, we were very lucky. Growing up, I've been not only exposed to so many sports, but you're never far from someone who's very, very good at that sport.
Yeah.
And I wonder, though, I feel like Australia to do better with its conversion. I feel like we have a lot of exceptionally talented young boys and girls and a lot of sports. I think it's something to do with the fact that we live so far away from often the epicenter of other sports.
Yeah.
And not every kid can see and believe it and dream and want to be there. And I think we actually lose a lot because of that, which is a real shame. One thing I've always tried to do, especially back in Tasmania, be as much an up-and-coming generation just so they can see what it looks like for someone to go away and come home, and it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
You can go and try and you can maybe even succeed, maybe have a career, because when I was growing up, there weren't many from Tasmania that were at that level. And it's been a great evolution. My, as you pointed out, is quite extensive now. But the number of professional athletes from Tasmania, you know, either domestically or internationally, has exponentially climbed, you know, in a ratio compared to the other states. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the states like Queensland, South Wales would often dominate the numbers of top sports people, as much as it's hard for me to say that. But Tasmania is definitely involved in that time, and I think that's why it's important, especially when you come from a small place, to do as much as you share it with your community to try and get others to believe they can go do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. It's one thing, actually, I was reading some stories about your mentorship. I mean, I'm curious about, it's a pretty big topic for me because I've been an athlete a long time. I was 22 years as a Red Bull athlete, and sort of people have brought me up, but a lot of what I'm wanting to do now is help other young athletes and mentor other young athletes. I read a story that I thought was really cool about your Olympic debut in rowing, and how there was a story about how somebody said something to you, I don't know who it was, on the start line, but that had a really big impact. Do you remember that story? It was like, someone was like, oh, you have plenty of Olympics, you're young, you know, just have a good time, don't stress out. And then somebody older said a really cool thing to you. Do you remember? You want to share that?
Yeah, well, it was actually, a couple of things. It was Stephen Hawkins, who was prior to the Olympics. He won gold in '92, and people, you know, with the trials, everything, everyone would say, oh, look, it doesn't matter if you don't make it. You know, you've got all these Olympics ahead of you, but it's a great experience to try for the team. Blah 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 blah. And he made sure to call me, and actually, you know, called me to ask me to come and see him on the landline phone back in those days. And went over to his house, and he just said, you don't know where you'll be. You don't know if you'll still be growing. You don't still be in sport. You might break a leg. It could happen. You make sure you make that tech now because you can.
Yeah.
And it was changed that the mindset. Of course, to that moment, I had that thought, oh, well, yeah, it doesn't really matter if I don't make it. You know, it'll probably be another time. You know, I'm so young, blah, blah, blah. And then, obviously, once we got closer to the games, his next words with them, and everyone was making a big scene about me being the youngest thrower on the team. I think I was the youngest thrower at the Olympics. And he said, they're not going to put your birth certificate on the start line. Yeah. So, man up.
Yeah. They don't ask for your birth certificate.
Everyone now makes a big point about how old I am in Ironman, and still talk to one of the contenders, and I say, they ain't going to ask us birth certificates on the start line. I don't care. We're all the best in the world. We have the right to get me there in Kona each year. And, well, it's been every second year. But fortunately, next year it's back to every year. And, yeah, we've all got a shot. So
yeah, I really resonated with that story, you know, as a veteran athlete, because I didn't start mountain biking till age 38. I did a lot of other sports like you. I was rock climbing, rowing, like paddling, like adventure racing, doing other things. I started mountain biking and racing at 38. And, you know, won Leadville, won 24-hour worlds, like basically won more things in the second half of my career. So, you know, and the best expedition of my life was that I did was at 54. So you're right on track to probably still win a bunch of world championships and go to another Olympics. And but I always thought the same thing. It's like, you know, I won a bunch of bike races in my 40s. You know, I was at my peak fitness probably in 45, 48. And so it's kind of a cool story.
Gosh, I was hoping 48 would be enough for me. I've always thought that number was good because Tom Brady always talks so much about it, and we share the same birthday. So I felt it's probably my destiny to still be at my best at 45, but that would probably be enough.
You got a ton of time. You got a ton of time left, like two more, Well,
well, it's interesting because guys we trained with who did win gold in Athens in the pair, a different boat, but similar, as you know, both speed to the double. The Australian who Friggin and James Tompkins. I think between them they won 8 gold medals in the end. But that James rode there, he was the oldest on the team. I think he was 40 or 41.
Yeah.
He turned 40.
Yeah.
And then I worked it out the other day. Someone said, do you think you could go back to rowing for Brisbane? And I said, oh, no, like, because they said, if you stop Ironman after Kona, could you go back to rowing? I was like, no. And then I stopped and I thought, wait a minute, James was 48 when he went to London in the men's 8,
Okay, so this is a good segue, because I wanted
maybe it is possible.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about transitions, because really, I mean, we've already touched on it a bit, but you started with rowing, then you went to pro road cycling, and then triathlon, or no, you were going to become a finance, Wall Street person, and then you went back to road cycling, and then you went to triathlon, and now you're thinking about going back to rowing. Do I have this right? Is that...
Well, no, someone suggested it, but it's been suggested a few times now. It was actually Nike that brought it up originally about 2 years ago, and so they were thinking about LA.
It seems like a lot of your transitions from rowing to get into cycling, a lot of the transitions have been marked by something bad that happened, an injury or broken bones, or can you talk a little bit about that? Is that accurate, that you've made big shifts after really hard things? Or...
When you go through life, you get to our point. We've been around a lot, and you see real life injuries aren't really that bad. they're obviously a bit traumatic at the time because everything and But it was, in my case, it wasn't more that any of the injuries prevented me from continuing to do what I was doing, but they more just pointed me in a different direction, which I decided to continue with. And rowing, simple tendonitis. I mean, I think most everyone has it.
Yeah.
Mine got a bit more severe because I was trying to put up with it so I could be ready for Worlds, and then or stay in the national for Worlds, and then it was so bad I had to. And then of course I wanted to come back super fast, still get back for Worlds, which I did. And we were, because I knew we had a great chance of winning that year, and we won the heat, won easy. Leading the final, blew out with a to go. I couldn't hold the oar, and let me get down. We ended up 4th. We didn't even get the medal, and that really, really stung. And so I had to take a few months off then to just let it heal naturally. Couldn't do the surgery, and that was when I got the bike. And then, of course, just never looked back again. Kept going forwards on the bike and stayed in that. And that was how that change happened. And then cycling, as I said, just got to a point, and it was sort of good circumstances. Well, maybe not so good circumstances for the sport, it emerges, but we were fortunate. You had a contract, sort of had some options, and I decided to stop. And fortunately, Canada at the time continued to pay me to help me find my way in life, and I really wanted to move to the US and work at Wall Street, and so that meant they were able to just use me as a bit of a brand ambassador while I did that, and met some amazing people along the way, and finally found out where I wanted to work. And then didn't last long working before the guy told me I was better off back in sport. Then Ethan was incredible, and it wasn't that, he just believed in me. And he and his family, Ethan Penn is his name, he and his family have been to Kona to watch me every year since. So we've still got a great relationship. He's sort of now retired. He's actually mounted his own run for governor of California next year, which is quite exciting to follow now for him. He was sort of the one that kept me back in sport, and then obviously that's led me back to the road, back to cycling with Team Sky, called INEOS now, and doing both sports at once. So it was really only one injury that sort of changed course and set me to cycling. The other one was more position in life where I felt like I had more to offer than being a cycling domestique. I felt I could achieve a bit more myself. Not that I didn't love that role and love it now, because I get to go to Kona and it's all about me. But at the time, I felt like, I could achieve more in the world away from sport. But it turns out, no, I was just back to sport.
Oh, maybe that finance degree. Maybe you'll get that, or you'll go to the Olympics in rowing. We don't know.
No, I mean, I would never suggest what I think I'll do, because honestly, I don't really know. I mean, at the moment, I'm focused on, I say in Kona, of course, that's the ultimate goal, but I've also realised that, Jimmy Johnson, the NASCAR driver, told me once, the destination is nothing without appreciating the journey. So, the past is pretty fast when you get to that moment. And that's a guy that's won so much. So the great thing with triathlon, you've got so many different aspects to work on, and, it can really become a process-based sport. You obviously want to get to this point. You can systematically work your way through there across 3 different disciplines. And of course, nutrition, the other one we always talk about, and see how it comes together on race day. And I feel like I'm getting better at that process as I get older, to be honest. And, for example, this year I'm really excited. We're doing a speed period. At the moment, I'm for a 5,000 metre, test. I'll do the track, and I go up to 90 later in the year. And that's sort of like the first mini goal, and do a half marathon and try and do that, quite quick, and then a full marathon, just so it gives me confidence that I can run speeds that the sport's days.
Yeah.
And then we'll sort of, back into a more traditional preparation. But, I'm doing training I've never done before. And it's incredibly exciting. It's all sorts of things, because I didn't come from a running background. So we've had to slowly build me up to the point where we feel like now I'm finally ready to actually be a bit more like a runner.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point of, versatility of like doing different sports, and you do carry skill, endurance skill or mindset from another one, but eventually you do have to have some real specificity to be able to, at that elite level, to actually make performance gains, because everyone is like has learned how to train now, from 10 years ago when you started, have you seen just the times show alone the evolution in not just triathlon, but all sports performances is accelerating at a massive rate. And so for you to keep up, I think that's, if I think about longevity, well, let me just ask you this. What do you attribute your longevity in sport to?
Changing sports all the time.
Yeah.
Never get worn
Some
out.
variety. Yeah.
A new stimulus. As I said, even running. I've, touched wood and it doesn't happen, but I've never been injured. And to the point where now we're able to train harder than I've ever trained before. But I think, when a cyclist gets, say, 36, 38, they've been cycling since probably maybe 30 years.
Yeah.
I rode for, probably close to 10 since school to when I stopped at high school, and then, kind of roughly the same in cycling in the middle there, or 6 or 7 or something. And then, it's been sort of 7, 8 years now in triathlon, but add a few years of cycling on, so the 10 there too. It's nowhere near that, 20 to 30 year mark that taps out most athletes. And all the advice I've had is really all between your ears and your desire to want to get better. Your body shouldn't let you down, like we've already discussed. 45 seen as the earliest it could, and now you're saying things other people have said, which I didn't want to hear, but you potentially even further than that, be still pushing, seeing your best output.
How much is physiology versus psychology?
Well, that's beyond you. This is probably a groundbreaking statement to make, but this physiology doesn't change a lot. I mean, my VO2 max, I've always been around 6.2 litres. I remember that when I was rowing, when I first started testing at the Tasmania sport back, the year 2000, 2001. And I did 4 tests in 2 days at Nike, and I was still in 1.5 litres, slightly less, I guess, because, triathlon's not exactly a VO2 man sport. Like, I do the road racing, which I guess has kept it up, but compared to rowing. So, yeah, it hasn't changed in 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So, 23, 24 years, I guess. But so I think it's all between your ears, and it's all more about getting more out of that physiology. It's like learning how to optimize what you have. I guess when I should put it more correctly, the size of your engine doesn't seem to change a lot. It's your utilization of it is what evolves as you go through, and probably what's the greats, the goods, the okay.
Yeah. So then what I'm hearing you say is that physiology, you've got to be at a certain level, but the extra is coming from your intellect and your psychology, your intellect of how you can, maximize the training or maximize your physiology. And then as you said, what's between your ears. So how are you developing? Is that just learned over years and years of doing sport, or how are you developing your mindset for performance?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty good at being critical and realistic of where I'm at, and I'm very good at training. I've always been good in the work. That's not my issue. My biggest challenge is doing the small things, stretching, mobility, like yoga, meditation, your diet. Pretty good with that. We can always all be better. Even biomechanics and wind aerodynamic stuff, I actually dedicated a few to that this year, which coincidentally just before Texas when I, rode that bike split, quicker than anyone's ever ridden in an Ironman.
Like a couple times, you kept breaking your own record, right?
Yeah, basically. Well, you want to do best at something. I want everyone to know that I am working my way up to. I dream of doing a perfect all-round performance, and I still believe it's there, and I still believe I'm working towards it. At the moment in swimming, we're solely on technique. I'm not. Wouldn't say not allowed to swim hard, but we're not pushing me to a point where I break down at all. It's like getting as many strokes correct as possible. I'm spending a lot more time in the gym than I have done since I was rowing, which as you get older is a thing, but it's having a few weeks now consistently here in Big Bear, and I'm back doing 110 kilo squats, and I haven't done since I was rowing. All that muscle memory was there, and I just feel great. I get in the pool, I'm doing chin-ups again, and hanging is super deep, and I feel that like drive from the lat, like where it feels effortless, which I used to have when I was rowing. And then I get in the pool and I'm accelerating through the water, and we've sort of set out to build the pieces to try to ultimately have that all-round performance. And I think when you've got so many like that to focus on, keeps your mindset sharp, and knowing that the prize is potentially very significant means that there's no short motivation to stay at the top.
So you talked a whole bunch about your physical training just there. What about mental training? Are you just born with it? Are you just born with the right attitude? Are people just kind of set that way, or is it something you develop?
Ever since I was quite young, I've always enjoyed just training. There was times in my life, in my sporting life, where I wished I got paid to train. I love training. I really do. I have no issue pushing myself when no one's around. I feel like I'm a very good training partner. I think it's pretty well documented with people that I've trained over the years and the success they've had. I really enjoy being part of that, and they've obviously helped me to get to where I've got and believe that I can achieve, and probably still, and give me the ability to still believe I can achieve, because I'm constantly exposed to those guys. But as far as the mental aspect, yeah, I think I've just had a lot of years in sport and been through everything. I've been beaten badly. I've had some success, and been injured and come back. I mean, for example, whenever I do break a bone or get hurt or something, it's whatever the injury. There's always, I believe, a way you can be better, come back, and having that mindset instead of, oh gosh, it's doom and gloom. I guess I've always lived by, it costs nothing to have a positive mindset. I mean, the effort to have a positive or negative is the same, so you may as well make it a positive one. And
it sounds simple, but what if deeper than that, you have to actually believe that the recovery or comeback is possible. And it sounds like, have you had a situation where you sort of didn't believe?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I was very fortunate to make that first Olympic team. It was a really fine margin. The first race I won in that trial, I was not meant to win. I was in the second boat, ended up beating the first boat by less than half a second. It was a tiny margin. But then it set me on the path. I was pretty much unbeaten the rest of the trials and easily made the team. And I think when you set yourself out to do something like that early, it builds that belief that if you really want it, you can get there. Yeah. And I've not achieved things that I've wanted to achieve it, and it's because I've known I really wanted it. But when I really, really want something and my mindset's there, I do everything process that set out and that we believe in. The people. That's the other thing. You go through phases in your career. I've fortunately had few coaches. They've always been with them for a long period of time, but you have to really believe everything they're giving. Because I always say, it doesn't really matter who your coach is. Probably even more so today. Like I said, with that training, everyone knows about training. What's most important is you believe in everything they give you, because if you don't, then you're really you're wasting their time for sure, and you're definitely wasting your own time. You're never going to get what you could get. So, yeah, I've just always had a fair bit of belief in, if I want to come back, I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
I've never ever thought about plan B.
What's the drive? What's the motivating drive? Like you said, if the stuff you haven't achieved, you said you must not have really wanted it. And the stuff you have achieved, you really wanted it, and you threw everything into it. So where does the desire, what are you grasping for? Your next big goal obviously is Ironman Kona that you have qualified for in 26. And but that was even 2 weeks after a pretty a disappointing performance. Yeah. Can you talk about that? And then 2 weeks later, you're just like, okay, obviously you really want to be at Kona, so you made it happen.
Yeah, well, Nice, I think, is a classic example. Of course, I would have liked to have done well, but I didn't really want it. I knew that, it's the World Championship. It's a World Championship. It's called the World Championship. It's a huge thing. But it's not Kona. I mean, to me, that's why I do the sport. And okay, call me old. Maybe that's one of my signs of being old. But that's the race that really gets me out of bed. That's the race I'm thinking about, even when it's not a Kona year. And I guess, Nice was the one race when I did get distracted. Leading in, my son broke his collarbone a few weeks out. I certainly got very preoccupied with worrying about him and his recovery. Even though kids are like rubber, they bend, but as a parent, I'd never been through that before. So I didn't know I didn't have any experience of how to deal with that. My wife was definitely much calmer than me, but yeah, that last few weeks before Nice, I certainly wasn't focused on what I needed to be focused on. And at this level of competition, these guys are going to pay for it. And I was flat on the day and stayed flat, and that was that. I didn't quit. I still gave what I had that day, but it was certainly a shadow of, of what I believed I'd trained for over the summer. I guess I've had so many experiences in my time where you say you haven't done well and you've had to make those phone calls of, this excuse, that excuse, whatever, but real disappointment on both sides. They're disappointed for you that you didn't achieve what you worked for, or what they helped you work for, and obviously you for letting you down. And I just knew that the only way to get through that one was to bounce back quick and put your balls on the line, I guess, so to be crass, but let's find out, did I put the work in?
Yeah.
Did I really put the work in? Was I as good as I thought I was? Could have been in Nice. And I'm going to find out, because to recover from an Ironman isn't easy. The only way you can recover well from an Ironman, even though I didn't go great in Nice, I think I was still 21st, so I was 21st in the world. It's not that bad. But yeah, you got to be really fit to recover well. Yeah. And no race is easy these days in Ironman, because everybody wants to qualify for Kona. And there was a number of guys at that race particularly that had skipped me to do that, to qualify early for Kona. Yeah. Knowing how valuable that is. So the standard was extremely high, and was a really good test. And it was really cool. I talk often about, wanting it and needing it. When you want to win, but you need to perform.
So if you hadn't qualified for Kona, was this your last chance to qualify for Kona?
No, the whole season.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole season ahead. But the earlier you do, now we've got a chance to focus on this running speed and focus on the swim technique. I don't have to stress about a race really until October. Of course, I'll race this year, but I don't have to worry about doing that race to qualify, because that's becoming very challenging.
Okay.
So he said to me, Dad, you really need to do well today. I said, yeah, mate, I really do well today. Yeah. And I was reading Steve Prefontaine's book at the time, and it just talked about, if you're going to beat me, I'm going to make you work for it. Yeah. So I got into the race and I said, whatever it takes, I just have to get to the front, and then do whatever I can to stay there. But if someone wants to beat me, they got to come and get it from me. And so luckily I had a pretty decent swim off too far back. I got to the front of the bike, but there was definitely some strong guys there. But I got to the lead, and then I was out of the lead. I think I was back and forward quite a few times on the bike. And then we obviously got on the run, and into the lead. And there was a young American, Trevor Foley, a very, very good runner, and he ran us down, two of us in front. And he did a big surge. And I was like, mate, I've been reading a great book. You ain't going anywhere. I mean, to put it in perspective, he was a college runner. I think he's run 2:35, his slowest marathon in an Ironman. I mean, my best ever, 2:44. Yeah. So I was really boxing out of the weight class. But I went with him, stayed with him, and sure enough, a few kilometres later, I cracked big time. But then the guy from behind, who was third, came past me, but then he actually went past Trevor too. And I've had the experience. I was like, right, just hang in there. You just never know. You can come back, just keep moving, get to the next day station, get some gels, have some Coke, whatever you can, get some fuel in, see what happens. And, sure enough, a mile later, Trevor was basically stopped on the side of the road. He was cramping and hurting, and he'd had his real bad moment. Mm-hmm. So then I got back in second, and then I guess the inexperience, I would have tried to push away and get ahead, but at that time, when I had the bad moment, risked, being out of the qualifications under the top two, I said, right, just keep up with it, fueling, get as good as possible, because if he comes back to you, you can compete with him. So get your body ready for that. you know, just in case. And yeah, I got to about a mile to go and back and still had a nice gap on him. And so then actually the guy in front ended up only losing by about 45 seconds. But we ended up, you know, Rasmus, the guy who won, he went 7:34. I went 7:35, and Trevor went 7:36 and didn't qualify. And then, you know, Trevor's then gone to Arizona since then last week, and then he got a flat tire, so qualified again. It just shows you how hard it can be just to make it to Kona. So that was really important to me in that race, because then, of course, the disappointment of Nice, you know, I could put it behind, genuinely just worry about focusing on, you know, and also the team around me of people, that coaches and sponsors and everyone else. You know, it's in the rearview mirror, and all of a sudden they all know you're going to Kona, you know, and everyone's excited. Everyone's, you know, can build the year out with you. And within the space of 2 weeks, I really completely changed that narrative. And honestly, probably been the best position I've ever been to prepare for a championship.
I love that story. There's factors in it that show to your experience, obviously, of like knowing to stay in it, but then also you sort of learning something new about, like, you could run that fast and you could. So it was like this blend of you using your experience, but learning also about your potential and
find the limit.
Yeah. And that pushed, you know, through another limit that you thought, oh, well, that guy's faster runner than me, to, oh, I can keep with him and I can compete with him. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I guess these little things that at my age, I guess even what was most flattering, this is a strange conversation. I hope your listeners like listening to talk about an Ironman, but, you know, Trevor when we crossed the line, we're obviously all pretty close together in the doping control. So I had the college football on my phone watching that, and Trevor was college football too. So we kind of started chatting. He said, look, if I qualify for Kona, can I come and train with you before Kona? And I'm thinking, here I am at 42 years old. He's this like young upstart, you know, America. You know, he's like one of the big hopes and big track star from school and all this sort of stuff. And he's asking if he can come and train with me. And I was like, you know what, buddy, you still got it. Still got it.
So would you train with him? Would you train with one of your competitors?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's, I mean, what a huge compliment though. And yeah, to sort of, yeah, it's a huge compliment to be noticed for, you know, the longevity in sport. And, you know, we talked about that a little bit, and I loved what you said about curiosity. And
sorry,
should we pause for a second? Yeah.
Closing the door.
You good? Is that your kid?
Yeah, he's just up there carrying on. You just pause a second.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we're good. Sorry.
No, you're totally good.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought, so we'll go on to something else. I was going to ask you if you have any mantras or like things you say to yourself that sort of when you're talking to yourself and you're like, do you have different voices, different versions? Do you have mantras that you use?
No, not really.
Yeah? You just go smash it and like you make it all sound really easy, Cam.
I guess so. I guess I've been doing it for so long, a lot of it comes naturally, but without a doubt, just maintaining that belief. You know, I'll always say to myself, come on, you know, like when it's not that bad, you know, you think something's hard or whatever, give yourself a little reality check. What's really hard, and how fortunate, you know, I really genuinely am very grateful for being able to do what I do. And when I'm going through a tough moment in training, I just remind myself how lucky I am to be even doing that and feeling that and having that challenge. And, you know, I get paid to be out here to go through this and get better.
Yeah,
So
you do have a real love. I mean, it makes me like, I can envision you as this little kid, like you said, just going and just wanting to play all day and running around all day, because you still seem to have that playful spirit despite how hard you physically work. Like, I get it. But you still seem to really love,
I
exercising for a living, as I've heard you say.
I love sport. I
Yeah.
genuinely love sport. And as I
Yeah.
said, I think I'm up here at Big Bear Lake now. I'm doing my first altitude block already. I love it up here. I followed the boxes, training, obviously Tour of California. We've had some races up here. But before that, I used to follow their training videos that are up here. And not that I ever want to fight myself, but I appreciate the sport more from the perspective of, we have a bad result and sort of feel sorry for ourselves. Maybe we'll have a little crash or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about them, the things go wrong. And I'm just fascinated by the mindset of their training. How do they train to prepare for that? They cannot leaving a stone unturned in their sport could be life and death.
Yeah.
And there was a young guy I met. I've been in touch with since spring. He's a young undefeated fighter. He's 26. I only know he's 26 because yesterday we had the turkey trot here, and I ran into him. We're having a chat. He said, "Oh, would you come and do my birthday with me on Saturday?" I said, "Oh yeah, mate. Yeah, of course. Down, that'd be great." He said, "Yeah, I want to do 20 miles for my 26th birthday." I said, "Well, we're going to get really well." So tomorrow morning we're off to run a marathon on the trails, and he's coached by Abel Sanchez, who in boxing world is one of the greatest coaches. He coached Gennady, was probably his most recent really top guy, but he's got probably hundreds of world champions over the years. So when he told him that to be with me, he was intrigued and sort of said, I was kind of glad that I could tell him I was doing it with you because the coach seemed to think that would be okay. But yeah, I mean, I genuinely admire every sport. I love learning from every sport, and I've found over the years my best training partners are often top athletes in other sports because I guess you don't threaten each other. You're not trying to compete against each other, but you can definitely push each other.
Yeah.
And learn from each other, and so yeah, I think that comes from, as you say, being a kid. And I remember wanting to win everything in sport. I wanted to win the Masters golf. I wanted to win Wimbledon. I wanted to be the MotoGP world champion. There really wasn't a sport that I didn't picture myself fighting for at the highest level as a kid. My son now is pretty much the same. He's obsessed with sport. Fortunately, he's most obsessed with tennis. He's really obsessed with tennis. He plays a lot and talks about nutrition for tennis, and he's when he goes on his bike and things like that at 5. So it's a bit frightening. I don't think we're going to have professional sports people in 10 years' time. I think they're all just going to be sports and women.
Yeah.
And there'll just be some that'll be better than others. I think they're all going to be like professionals as we know it today.
I hope I feel like if everyone was involved in sport, the world would be in a much better place,
Agreed.
And I hope the generations of kids, like, really, my mom didn't do sports. I was like the first one to do sports in my family. And I know a lot of people in my age demographic, their parents didn't do sports, but now they're having kids and their kids are just growing up as athletes and rock climbing and doing all this. And so I think that is the first generation of kids like your son that have grown up just like, that's what you do is my mom's a professional rock climber or my dad's a professional triathlete. I think it's really awesome, actually. And
well, I think also the AI, that I'm a tech guy, I don't know, but the one thing in one place is activity. Sport. People aren't going to watch a robot shoot a basketball or whatever. And I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Sport, as that evolves and technology, becomes more mainstream, the interest in sport fact, it amplifies sport because we can see more of it, we can analyze more of it, we can all get better access to information about it to try to be better at it ourselves and relate to who the best people are. I mean, it's I think it's a really exciting time for sport.
I think that part's exciting, and hopefully nothing will ever replace, you know, when we talked about psychology and physiology, nothing will ever replace what happens when you do the sport and when you move, like in your brain and body, all the chemical reactions and everything that's going on, that can't be replaced. You still have to move to get that benefit and that feeling, like you said, the feeling of training and the feeling of being strong.
Yeah, well, that's a bit scary. If it does, it'll be long after us. But I wouldn't imagine. I think that's the beauty of it, because there's still going to want to be that relatability. I mean, I think that's the beauty of sport. And I find that with Ironman, you know, you might say, oh, you're a professional cyclist, or you race the bike. But when you say you do an Ironman, people understand that you run a marathon, for example, at the end of all of that, which is a metric that most people can gauge in their head.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about sport is we want to be able to relate, even though we're nowhere near as good as those people, but gives us a realization of how good the people are. I think that would kill sport if we believed, if we learned that there was an artificial something that made some better than others.
Yeah.
That would probably be the death of sport, to be honest, because people wouldn't be able to have that admiration of how much better they are than me at doing that. That's why I'm watching them on TV.
It's so true. I mean, all of my racing, you know, especially the mountain bike and gravel, all the off-road cycling stuff, that's all participatory. And, you know, we all race on the same race course. And I remember at Leadville, I finished 20th overall, and like, my sponsor was in the race, and it's out and back. So he finally saw how good I was. He was at the end of the race. He's like, holy you were up with all the guys. I'm like, I know. Like, that's like, and I'm in my 40s, and it was the owner of my main sponsor company finally had the realization, because he was on the same race course, and it took him 4 hours longer, you know, and he could relate and be like, oh, we should pay you more money. I'm like, yeah, you should. But it's a really good point. It's why I launched gravel events and stuff too, just because people can get out there. And I know you've
I think trail running, I mean, that's swimming. And if you look at women, I mean, you get to a certain distance and it's very difficult for the men to beat them. Or how do we put that? The women are as good, or if not, sometimes even better.
Yeah, the longer it gets, the less the physiology, the less the difference in, which is actually really friggin' cool. Which is why I always did long stuff, you know, and the adventure racing teams, I mean, those were mostly guys, 3 guys and 1 girl, you know, and you had to travel together.
Yeah.
You must remember those, being from Australia. Like,
we had the Mark Webber challenge, the challenge. And, I guess the Mark Webber one was a bit more celebratory, but the Fraser challenge and the 3 Peaks race. We had a number of them. And then you followed the New Zealand ones, because local guys that would do that was coast to coast and different events.
Yeah, that was
cool
stuff.
Don't worry. There aren't many sports that I haven't followed over the years.
Well, you might. Do you know Novak Thompson or John Jacoby? Those are 2 of my Aussie teammates. They're older than you, I think. Now. Okay, no. Yeah, but those are 2 guys that I raced with pretty nonstop for a decade. It was pretty fun. So I have a question. What does winning look like off the race course?
Yeah, I mean, I noticed Richie Port was the one that really opened my eyes to this. He got married and had children, you know, and then you realise there's going to be a lot of years after sport, and then you know, I felt like, but you know, to do that, you have to get to a point where you got to meet someone that actually wants to be with you, someone wants to actually make a child with you, and then be doing something, you're providing a life for them. So I guess to me, you know, I'm quite proud of that, because back to 10 years ago, it seemed like that would have been a real challenge to get to that point. So I am proud of what we've got and what we've built at the family, and and really, yeah, as I said, I think Nick's probably showed, how where my mindset's at with my family. That's incredibly important to me. I mean, I've spent most of my life on the other side of the world on my own. So now have them, I want to be with them all the time. And I want them to, well, I guess my job to be a part of what we do with the family, but them to grow with it. And I mean, my son's here obviously in Big Bear, but running around, racing around, building his little lungs. I mean, the tennis courts here are great. He's always got time on the courts here, and lots of activities and things to do. And, wherever we go in the world, obviously I need to do what I do and perform, but I also make sure that we're a good unit and growing as a family. Everyone's developing and evolving. It's a great experience for everyone. So I think I'm really lucky at what I do with the freedom and flexibility you have to be wherever you want to be. I mean, we live in Andorra and we're most of the time, but when we travel, I just make sure we're all together.
That's awesome that you can create that little bubble. That's really cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, I guess I don't spend as much time with friends outside of exercising, if I'm realistic. I mean, my friends in LA, the guys at Peddler's Fork, I'm sure you might have been out to Calabasas, Peddler's Fork, where the Robbie Schaefer and the guys, they night ride and pint, mountain bike ride, and finish at Peddler's and have a catch up. And I really try and never miss that when I'm in town. I really love being with those guys, but socially, I spend all day often with the guys training. The reality is they are my friends, but most of that time is spent training together. The last thing in the world I feel like doing is being together when we're not training. I did enough years of that when I was rowing, where we really live in each other's pockets. So I guess I choose to put that time away when I'm not training into my family and being with them. But luckily through sport, I maintain some really great friendships. So,
I was just going to say
balance.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, at any level, going on a hike or going on a run or a dog walk or something with other people, like you're out moving and you're hanging out together. So it's the best of both worlds. You're just doing it at a slightly different level.
It's a bit different when you're with like Tom Peacock,
right?
And then when you're Rob Schaefer,
right?
The guys on Thursday night. But honestly, both equally as wonderful from a interaction and engagement and friendship. I mean, Tom, obviously a lot younger, but his fiance now, his girlfriend Bethany at the time. I mean, she was our son's first babysitter. He's sort of grown up around. You're like this. I mean, Tom broke his collarbone there at one point before the game even, and the last, like Tokyo, the extended one. Anyway, and Wyatt must have watched on his iPad when we travel. He's just got sports, either tennis or cycling stuff. A lot of time, and the Rams, LA Rams. Loves football, but Tom must have been something about his collarbone. So when he broke his collarbone, I was at home having physio, and the pump track's across the road. So he basically just tried to clear a double. Didn't even get close, just reared into the second one, and down he went. And he comes home, obviously quite upset, and he said, Dad, I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't want an X-ray. And you saw his collarbone is like this, and my physio was like almost like physically ill. He said, because if I get an X-ray, it's broken, I can't do sports. And I said, well, mate, like, that's not, we don't know if it's broken. But if it is, we need to know how badly it's broken, because I'm sure we can find some things to do with it broken, And he said, well, what could I do? I said, well, it's your left hand, so maybe you do some small hits with your right hand at 10. He said, what about my bike on the turbo? I could put my bike on your Wizzy. And I said, yeah, mate, of course we could do it. This kid is nuts. Like, he's literally like got an A-frame in his shoulder, and he's negotiating to get an X-ray. so he can still do sport once we find out it's broken. So sure enough, we went to hospital. He said, okay, I'll go and get an X-ray. We went to hospital. Sure enough, it's broken. Comes home, falls asleep, no painkiller. Next morning, Dad, is my bike on the turbo? So I had to go and find a smaller mountain bike cassette because, his chain was too thick. It was skipping on my one, and set it up, and down he went. Within 12 hours, he was on the turbo. But,
it sounds like something you would do. I mean, it sounds like you finding cycling, being injured from rowing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's never, always finding a way to evolve and be better. But I just know that, Tom had that. And then even Hayden Wild, who spends a lot of time with me training, he had a big crash early in the year. So I would that, and just really lucky to have those role models for him. But then also, friendship for me. But what I probably appreciate most is they're two of the absolute best on the planet. I mean, we took Wyatt to the Olympics and he was there for top. My wife's got a photo on the last corner where he was still in second before he hit that rock section. Came around there and we were right. I mean, we were roaming around, and he's off my shoulder. He was almost jumped on Tom's back. Give him a hurry up. I mean, it was just so special to be there for that, and be so close to him. He actually just got back from South Africa. Had a bit of a trip, and he's another one next year. We're already planning our off season. He said, "Let's do the New York Marathon." That's our off-season activity next year.
Yeah, that's your social group is at a different level than most people's social group.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I just love, I love where I'm at, and I love being surrounded by these guys, and love being able to have the relationship that I do. But I really love being able to expose my son to the absolute best there are at what they do, and also, he gets a chance to see them doing the work, not just the day when they. And I think that's an important lesson for him. When we talk about his own, training, when he's talking about practicing different shots and focusing on today and doing that, it's a great journey.
Yeah, I love how, I mean, you're learning, but you're helping other people along the way, and you're learning from people in other sports. It was one of my favorite things about Red Bull is we would often get together and with people from all different sports, race car driving, everything, skiing, cycling, and just hanging out and talking to some other really elite athletes about how they approach things. It was actually, I think that cross-pollination is super healthy, instead of being real myopic only in your one sport. So I know what you're saying about hanging out with other high achievers. It's definitely like you learn and you kind of share different ideas, and you get a little bit more creative maybe with how you're approaching things.
And when most people want to say that someone so, I've heard they're this, you meet them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's natural when you're good at something. A lot of people want your time. I mean, on a lesser extent, I know that. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to talk to you or chin or whatever. You have to be a little bit selfish because you have to have time for your friends and you have to have time for your family above all. So you can't be there for everyone. So I think that's really special. That someone's meant to be a bit of a jackass, but they're actually a really lovely person.
Yeah. So let's talk about LA28 for a second before we wrap this up. So you're going and rowing. We've already established that. Is that...
No. We pushed it to Brisbane.
Oh, okay. No, okay. So LA28, will you be there in some capacity? Is there a desire, a goal to stretch to that?
Yeah, well, of course, I'd love to be there. But, in triathlon, the Olympic distance discipline now is incredibly fast and totally different beast. I mean, I train with Hayden, every day in Andorra, so I see what he does compared to what I do, and just how differently geared he is.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, interesting, Tim Kerrison is now, head performance at Triathlon Australia, who's obviously my coach and was a team spy for a least, I guess, fired from that a few years ago. I went back to Australia and helped with swimming leading up to Paris, and obviously had finally beat the Americans on the medal tally. So he's obviously still got his magic touch, but now because of his involvement with me and a couple of other people from triathlon that he'd known for a long time, with them working there, he's more of a hands-on role there with their performance. And we talked about it actually before Tokyo because we had a very top guy, and the idea was that if I was good enough in the swim, I could basically be a domestique on the bike. And but then of course COVID kind of halted, and I actually did a Euro race. I did terribly, but that's normal. It was my first one. It was a way to just feel it out, and see what I could do and see what I need to improve on. And we always felt that if I could get to the standard where I could swim with those guys, we know that I'll be fine on the bike.
Mm-hmm.
Then that would also help me in Ironman.
Yeah.
So the sort of situation's quite simple, although the guy that we've got at the moment is so good at winning everything already, Matt Hauser, and he's almost the best at everything. But could there be a domestic position potentially available? Well, I mean, I guess it would be up to me to put my hand up for it and earn it. But yeah, there's always the possibility, and the reality is if I was good enough to swim that fast, it would put me in the best possible position to succeed in Ironman as well. So because I'm coming from that way, going the other way.
Yeah, well, I like this plan that, you're going to do Olympic triathlon in LA, and then Brisbane, you're going to go back to rowing. And then we'll decide later what the next evolution of Cam is going to be.
The sad thing is it's probably possible.
I love it.
Prepared to put the effort in, or am I prepared to put the work in and dedication and, can I get there? Because we're definitely, those guys are really, really good.
Even when I said that, though, you lit up. It's like you're like, oh well, maybe that does sound like a good plan. So check back with me in a few years, and we'll see how that plan is going. And then maybe swimming after that, or just
definitely not. That's one thing I know I'll never be Olympic standard.
Okay.
Although, I mean, in triathlon it's quite different because you can look like a fast swimmer, but you're good at following the feet.
Okay. All right. We'll just stick with triathlon and rowing then, and that'll round out your competitive career.
I will
nicely.
admit that I've started using the rowing machine for my warm up in the gym again.
It's insane. Yeah. Okay. One last question before I let you get back with your family. Are you familiar with Michelangelo's sculpture, David? The David? Familiar with that one?
I know of it, but I don't know what it's like.
It's a really cool sculpture. It's basically like the most perfectly sculpted man. It's a masterpiece.
Sorry, I do.
Yeah, and I got to see it in person last year. It was really fun. But there's a story about it that when Michelangelo was asked, and he carved it out of a big giant block, obviously. And he's asked, like, well, how did you have the vision for David? And he basically just said, I just chipped away everything that wasn't him. And kind of taking that concept of like chipping away, shaping, sculpting, which you do with your physiology all the time. I'm curious if there's, given your experience and where you are now, what things are you chipping away or editing that are actually making you better? Like less is more. Like, what are you taking away in all that you've learned? I mean, you've seen every training style, you've seen multiple sports, you've seen all different teammates, you've seen team dynamics, different coaches, and your own experience getting to know yourself and your body. So what things are you, if you're taking that little chisel out and you're working to get to your goal of Kona next year, what is going away that's making you better?
For sure that I got very good at doing just training, just exercising, I call it, just doing the hours and doing the work. And it's hard, but to cut back, be more specific, like I said, being back in the gym, mobility, yoga, because you look at running, a basic example, and swimming it applies the same. But you have a stride, cadence, like 180, say, or 190, whatever it is. And Hayden, Wild, and I will be running at the same sort of cadence, similar size. Yet he'll be 20 seconds per kilometre or mile faster. And for the same height. And it obviously all comes down to movement and knowledge of your body and where you hit the ground. I mean, he's obviously a much better runner, but it's all those fine details, those drills, stretching, mobility, all of that. And then same in swimming, the ability to get your arm up and over, get more out of every stroke, which is the same concept with rowing. Yeah. And I feel like I've always got away with most of my sporting career to get where I want to get by just working hard. I don't like to say working. I mean, everyone works hard. Yeah. But obviously, I have an ability to put myself through a good amount of work and get myself in good physical condition, but doing those small bits. And so, and I feel like having the confidence to go away from what you're so naturally adept to, but I know myself that that's my best chance to get the best version of myself now to finish it all off. To get the perfect shape, get the ultimate shape that I'm looking for, the ultimate version of David, myself.
Yeah, I mean, you're really just like really fine tuning, and I'm like you. Earlier in my career, I would just try harder or get off my bike and run, even though I couldn't technically ride anything, and I could win races that way, just out of grit and like trying super hard. But like you, it's like learning how to really fine tune and almost specialize, look at the stuff that maybe is being overlooked by other people.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm in a fortunate position that obviously I've got that work in there and I can put that work in. And I know I haven't done other stuff. And there's a reason why, because a lot of these, especially the sport now, a lot of top guys, they come from, the ITU. Yeah. And not all of them make the transition. But the ones that are able to, they're very, very good. They're bringing that speed and movement that they've learned from such a young age to the Ironman distance. That's what's driving the level up.
Yeah, but what they're not bringing is 3 decades of endurance base that like you've been. So it's interesting. They're bringing in one thing, you have something, but it's also exciting to know that you have room to grow. Even at this point. I go training. Yeah. And I can really hurt all of them. It doesn't matter who it is, the sport. And so I know physically I'm there. It's okay. So where is that little bit we're missing, and it's obviously, I feel like I've identified it, and it's areas that I've always ignored. Every year, I'm going to do more yoga, do more stretching. Yeah. I'm sure you were the same. Every year I'm going to put more time into that. I'm going to go to the gym more and get my body in better shape, be stronger, and etc. Yeah. Of course, you just get in that routine of, it's just to spend an extra hour on the bike. I'll just run a bit further today. And then I'm too tired to go to the gym, or I don't really want to go to yoga now. Or, I'm better off having recovery and go and have a massage. Yeah. And it's not the same. And it's taking, just those reality checks, realizing, well, if you want to get the most out of yourself, you have to make a bit of a change here. So, and I really believe that those bits and pieces give me the best chance to be the best version of myself. Well, that your maturity as an athlete really shows in still, wanting to tackle everything. So I think it's really exciting. We've got our chisels out. Like, I'll be thinking about you as you've got now till October next year for your next really big goal.
October 10th.
Yeah. Okay. It's marked on the calendar. Cam, I love talking to you, and I feel a kinship to you because I think we've shared some similar paths. So, sure. And mostly what I love that I'm learning from you in this conversation is that like playfulness and joy that, I admit I lost at some points in some of my athletic, which forced a transition or I had an injury but like seeing and hearing your playfulness is contagious and reminds me why I love being outside and smashing it too. So thank you for giving that energy to us.
Yeah, no, and I'm happy on my own, but obviously most of the time with others, and I think that's really important. Good training part. I've been really blessed with that. So,
Yeah. Well,
I genuinely
if you come to
wait to see
Idaho,
whoever it is
yeah.
every day that I'm training with.
Well, if you come to Idaho and you want to do some training here, I'd love to show you around. It's a pretty beautiful place.
I appreciate that.
It's a long
All right,
and
I'm gonna
dusty
stop
road
the
and a hot and heavy
recording.
load.
Don't go anywhere.
Folks I meet ain't always kind. Some are bad, some are good, some have done the best they could. Some have tried to ease my troubling mind. And I can't help but wonder where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Can't help but wonder where I'm bound.